President Biden and his administration are literally on the clock to negotiate a debt ceiling solution.
The United States pays its bills. We raised the debt limit 3 times under the previous administration.
But it appears that the president's just trying to run out the clock and trying to bring us to some kind of debt crisis by waiting till the midnight hour.
It is time for the extreme MAGA Republicans to end the brinksmanship, do what is necessary on behalf of everyday Americans to raise the debt ceiling.
Clearly, there is a lot of talk about the debt ceiling. It's a term you probably heard at least once in recent weeks. The phrase can sound complicated, and with all this politics around it, you probably just tuned it out.
Yeah, but it really could make an impact on your life, so let's dig into it. It may help to think of the concept as the debt limit instead of the debt ceiling. Limit is defined as the point beyond in which something cannot or is not allowed to go. Now let's apply this to the government. The U.S. is allowed to borrow a specific amount of money to pay its bills. If that number is reached, the country has hit the debt limit. When that happens, lawmakers must decide if they're going to raise the limit, and both chambers then must agree.
But how does the country reach the debt limit? Well, it happens much like you reach the limit on a credit card. You know, when you keep swiping and swiping, knowing you probably shouldn't. The government has a lot of bills such as Social Security, Medicare benefits, military salaries, and tax refunds. If the country doesn't have the money to support all those bills, then we could see interruptions in our daily life. If that happens, we could see the furlough of non-essential government employees, delayed tax refunds, no one wants that, delayed Social Security checks, and the closing of museums and national parks.
Well, Social Security, that is probably one of the possible impacts that stuck out to you. Millions of Americans rely on monthly payments from the government to cover those bills. So let's be really clear here. Your Social Security checks are just fine, at least for now. There are areas that could be impacted if debt ceiling talks aren't resolved sometime this summer. And really, I got to tell you, this is not the first time it's happened. The discussion has dragged on before. In 2011, the talks broke down, and let me tell you, Social Security checks were not delayed then either.
When you don't have Social Security checks coming in, not only is it putting individuals at risk, it is putting the economy at risk.
Right now, the U.S. debt ceiling is $31.4 trillion. It has been raised 78 times since 1960. Both Republicans and Democrats have made the call to pay the country's bills. Plus, the bills themselves, they're not new. They're all previously voted on items.
When you think about the debt ceiling, this is not running up new debt for something we haven't voted on. Congress, previous Congresses, Republicans and Democrats have voted on certain spending measures. Raising the debt ceiling pays for the measures that have already been voted on.
Now, even though the topic of the debt ceiling is not new, lawmakers in Washington are struggling to find a compromise. Kevin McCarthy used his 100th day as Speaker of the House to highlight the lingering battle and concerns for the U.S. economy. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy traveled to Wall Street to say the future of the U.S. economy hinges on a showdown with President Biden over the debt ceiling.
Addressing the debt requires us to come together, find common ground, and reduce spending.
Congress has until this summer to raise the debt ceiling to pay for bills it's already passed. If it fails to do so, the U.S. could default on its debt for the first time in history.
Okay, so here's our plan. In the coming weeks, the House will vote on a bill to lift the debt ceiling into the next year.
McCarthy says the bill would return spending to 2022 levels and limit federal spending growth to 1% over the next 10 years. Speaker McCarthy has yet to unify House Republicans on which areas of the budget they're willing to cut, and his proposal is not likely to pass in the Democrat-led Senate.
We're waiting to see McCarthy's plan. That's the next step. He's the one who's holding up us avoiding default because he says he wants cuts. Show us your plan.
President Biden insists Congress raise the debt limit without conditions, pointing out that Republicans voted to do exactly that 3 separate times under former President Trump.
Let me be very clear. There's 2 things I will not do. I will not raise taxes, and I will not pass a clean debt ceiling. It just won't pass.
The White House issued a statement saying there is one responsible solution to the debt limit, addressing it promptly without brinkmanship or hostage taking. So right now, the government does not have a date on when it will run out of money and default on its debt. We know it's sometime in the summer, probably. However, we won't know for sure until income tax receipts are calculated. The deadline for Americans to file is today.
Of course, today is also the last day to file your state income taxes as well without facing the late fees. Right now, the tax rate in North Carolina is 4.75%. But Senate Republicans, well, they want to lower that. They rolled out a plan this week to cut the state taxes over the next few years. Now, under this plan, the rate drop from 4.75% to 4.5%. It would then continue to drop about half a percentage point each year until it reaches 2.49% in 2027. Keep in mind, the plan is a proposal that still needs to be approved before it's sent to the full Senate.
If you're concerned about owing money after you file your taxes, experts say putting it on a credit card should be a last resort. But if you have to do it, first off, make sure that it's lower than the interest rate you'd pay and the penalty for not paying taxes on time.
Get a 0% balance transfer card. Used properly, this could save you a lot of money.
Okay, but how do you pick that card? Well, you don't want just any credit card. Make sure there's no annual fee. Balance transfers often come with a fee. Usually it's between 3 to 5%. Some cards offer no fee. In a perfect world, that's what you're going to want. And you want this card just to be for your debt to have a low interest rate. The best case scenario, a 0% introductory rate. Most cards offer 12 to 15 months. That way you can pay off that tax bill before you get charged interest.